This is a talk on spiral dynamics, red, blue and orange, the most popular colors. Good morning, this is Wake Up with some thoughts about red, blue and orange in spiral dynamics. In this channel I have made videos on all known colors except red, blue and orange, and they will follow. But first of all, I want to share and discuss some thoughts with you about these three colors in which we are immersed all the time. A majority of the world population is centered right now in red, blue and orange, individuals and countries alike. If you're listening to these videos, you're probably centered in orange, green or yellow. These are the centers of gravity that are attracted to spiral dynamics, mostly. Orange because of its scientific and logical and effective aspect. Green because of its revolutionary aspect. Yellow because so many things can be explained with spiral dynamics, and it can be a catalyst for much more knowledge and understanding. But only because you are centered in green doesn't mean the rest of the world is. We tend to assume that others are quite like us. In many first world European and American countries, you would think that most people would be in orange, because everything around us is technology and natural science and so on. I have lived in India for many years, which is a very blue country. In a not fanatical way. There are blue fanatical countries and there are blue harmonious countries. Blue actually is a harmonious social color in itself. But blue is bordering on red. That's one of its neighbors, and so red has also a very strong influence there. There is a general admiration of powerful people, no matter what they do with this power. A famous red politician can just walk through the airport security controls, insisting that he or she is too important to be bothered with being controlled. Once you've seen this kind of blatant redness, it's easier to see it everywhere else as well. For example, look at most politicians and you will see a lot of red and a lot of blue. Blue is the insistence that rules and laws will solve all our problems. Red is the insistence that the right person for the right job will solve all our problems. And it doesn't matter if it's a king or a president or a chancellor or a premier. The fact alone that in many countries like the US or France, a premier minister or president has the same power than a king a few centuries ago is very revealing. It is very often said that the American president is the most powerful person in the world. That may or may not be true, but the whole idea, the whole admiration, the whole concept that it is a good idea to have one person who is the most powerful person in the whole world is red. While the trust that this person will do something that is good for everyone is blue. Then look, for example, at gangster rap. Gangster rap is all about, I'm the best rapper, I'm the boss, and the other guy, he's such a lame ass. Next time I see him, I will shoot him dead because he dissed my cousin. I'm not saying anything about the music itself and likes and dislikes of art, but the lyrics are very red. And it's a very popular kind of music. Then coming back to blue, I recently met a friend who is a computer engineer, and he was going on about how the new Corona tracking app is the next best thing to sliced bread. He was totally in love with that thing. From an orange perspective, I can understand, because it seems to be a well-made app. But that's not what fascinated him the most. The real reason why he thought this was a really grand idea was because he was convinced that this will be only used for the good of everyone and will never be misused. It will only be used to track infection chains and to stop this horrible mass epidemic. And once it is over, you can just delete the app and that's it. Of course, this kind of tracking and surveillance systems and technologies will never be misused in the future for anything else. This is blue. Blue is also if you believe everything that is printed in a newspaper or a book, because blue cannot understand why else it would have been allowed to be printed in a newspaper or a book if it's not true. Another person I recently met is someone who probably, if he would know about spiral dynamics, would put himself in yellow, which is the trend, of course. Everyone thinks about himself that he or she is in yellow. But that aside, he is a leading person in the research of a certain kind of medicine and healing. He has gathered more knowledge on that subject than most of his colleagues by far, which could be yellow or orange. Yellow gathers information for the sake of developing consciousness with the aim of awakening. Orange gathers information for scientific purposes, like a university professor. In orange, the information is mainly theoretical. In yellow, the information starts to become practical. There's a difference between a philosopher and a philosophy professor. A philosophy professor holds an academic title, and he can be a philosopher or not, but that is not why he got the job. A philosopher is someone who really looks into what is knowledge. Who am I? What is humanity? What is the difference between knowledge and opinion? What is the difference between consciousness and theory? How can I know anything? Is there such a thing as knowing anything? And then he or she starts experimenting with it and is looking for experiences that verify or disprove his theories. A philosopher is not someone who thinks about what is faster, an arrow or a turtle. It's someone who tries it out. A philosopher does not think about, is there a God or is there no God? He tries it out. He tries to find God. Looks for the experience of God or divine. A blue or orange scented person wants to be right. He wants to be correct about something. And once he or she has found a system that seems plausible and correct to him or her, he or she sticks with it, come what may. A yellow-scented person could change his opinion anytime if he or she encounters a more plausible system. A very good first-tier, second-tier test is you tell someone that everything is just a big illusion. Nothing really exists. There's no reality. There's no matter. Any second-tier centered person will say, oh, that's interesting. Let us discuss this a little more. Any first-tier centered person, except green, will be vehemently against it. They will immediately reject it as something horrible. A green-centered person will be torn. It sounds interesting, but it's also a bit scary and probably over-exaggerated. Also, if this is true, then what about the destruction of the environment? Anyway, back to this person I recently met, this very knowledgeable person who is one of the leading specialists on his field and in his field. For the first hour of the conversation, it was mostly about telling me how selflessly he was collecting this knowledge. Then I put to him the first tier, second tier test and told him that I thought that everything was an illusion. It doesn't really matter if I believe that or think that really, but it's a good question to kill a conversation. Afterwards, the conversation either gets very interesting or the other person or persons think you're a lunatic. The rest of the conversation was mostly about complaining that I didn't think scientifically enough. Not for a single moment I was asked how much I knew about natural science, about physics and chemistry and biology. It was just assumed, because I was talking such blatant nonsense, that I had no idea about science, because if I had, I would be convinced that it's the best thing and the truth. Which color is that? It's not yellow, it's orange. I'm not saying that any color is better than another. Also, second tier colors are not better than first tier colors and so on. Forget about all this. It's not an upwards moving spiral. It's just about different perspectives. And actually, spiral dynamics is more a mass psychology than an individual psychology. But you can use it for individuals as well, of course. 2 days after the guy having told me that I wasn't thinking scientifically enough, someone else told me I was thinking too scientifically and too logically and too mind-like, not allowing my feelings enough. The reason for this was that apparently I didn't believe in enough New Age theories. Believing in anything that you don't know about from your own experience is blue. Believing that the earth is hollow and there are all kinds of lizard men living down there, controlling the fate of humanity, is green, with an influence of blue and purple. So through spiral dynamics, it's very interesting to see which topic someone else is right now struggling and working with. For them, it will be a blind spot. It's very difficult to see the color you're in because it's like you're a fish in water. You can't see the water all around you. But it's quite simple to see it in others, which then should not be used in a judgmental sort of way. It's just to avoid misunderstandings. It's easier to talk to people who are centered in the same color than you are. If you're talking to someone else who is centered in another color, the discussion will be more difficult because the axioms, the concepts, the basic truths you and the other person see as self-evident and obvious will be different. And the farther apart they are on the spiral, the more alien the ideas will seem to each other. Unfortunately, probably no one but green can glimpse second-tier colors. They are just too weird. While someone who is centered in a second-tier color will get tired of conversations very quickly if it is about a first-tier concept. He or she knows from experience that this is a very small aspect, a limited view. It's not necessarily wrong, it's only true if you don't look left or right. So a majority of people you will meet will be centered in red, blue and orange. There are always three phases. Let's take blue for example. There's an entering phase of blue where red is merging into blue. It's called blue-red. Then there's the peak phase, blue-blue, and there's an exiting phase, blue-orange, where blue is already flowing into orange. There are some theories that women usually move much quicker through red, blue and orange. It's definitely true for orange. Red possibly as well, but probably not for blue. It's probably true that women are more attracted to social colors, such as purple, blue, green and turquoise. While red and orange, they're more like pissing contests. Who can piss farther? Who has the biggest balls? It's possible that many women are not so much impressed by that. But that's still a theory. Tell me what you think about it. So as an exercise, you could, in the conversations of the next weeks, really listen to the person or persons you talk with, and without judgment, just have a look where the present center is. The center can change any time, but where the present center is it red, blue, orange, or green? These are the most likely colors you will encounter. Red is power will solve the problems. Either me taking the power or someone else taking the power and then using it for good. Blue is laws or religion will save the planet. Orange is science will solve all problems. And with science, only natural science are meant, not cultural sciences or humanities like philosophy and history and so on. And green is saving the environment will solve everything. So listen between the lines, not what someone is saying he or she believes, but how he or she would solve problems or thinks that others should solve problems. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, and see you very soon. Make sure you leave your comments below. I'm really interested in your thoughts and experiences. This is YouTube, so it's about exchange. YouTube is a very yellow tool, so please leave your comments below and we can discuss these things together.